Good afternoon. Just got in. I had that video last week where I was talking about how those driveways were not very well situated in that little town. And sure enough, I got in a customer's vehicle. She was going to drive me over to knocking some of this dirt off, to another location she wanted me to mow. And so I hopped in her truck, and she went to back out, and she backed right into a guy that was doing some kind of work across the street. But you know, he apparently ain't been watching my videos, because where he parked, he was asking for it in a way. Although there wasn't much other alternative, but he had a little bit of room. He could have biased his truck a little further back to maybe prevent it. So then that brings up, well, look what's behind me, the big rig. You know, have I caved and going to the big rig like everybody else? No, and that makes me even more resolved to stay with the small truck, a disposable truck, basically. And maybe even go smaller and move forward with my plans for the little mow truck, the little white one back there. You know, it's nice driving around in this big truck. I mean, the phone rings and it goes right to the speakers and cold air and, you know. But there's a million times where you're going through town and you can't squeeze through and you got to wait for a bigger opening, and it all adds up on time. I mean, it's a nice rig. I'll turn this around and you can see it. But yeah, I don't think that's the way to go. Hang on. So actually, it's bigger than a lot of people's in that the trailer is a 16-footer, and then the truck is the quad cab long bed. But so it makes it even worse in a way. But there is room for two mowers and debris. You know, you move the mowers back to the back. And I've had this trailer forever. It's the one that got T-boned. And right there's some damage. You can kind of tell underneath there where the metal's bent back and stuff. But I've hauled so much weight in this trailer. And then not only was the weight in there, like I hauled rock, but then to get the rock out, I drove a little tractor with a loader bucket on it up in there. So you had the weight of the tractor and the rock. So this trailer I'll probably never get rid of, because well, another thing about it is it's exactly the same width as the truck. So I do not like having a trailer that sticks out further than the truck. I love having either big or small. The rig, see the same thing on the green truck. That trailer is exactly the same width as that truck. So that's the way I like it. But yeah, I had to run that. Okay, why am I running the big one? I lost my train of thought. The big one's being ran because I had to do a big weed eating job down on the lake where there was cypress knees, and I thought that a lot of it could be mowed. Well, you don't want to take just one mower in a scenario like that. And it was a new job, new customer. So I took both mowers in case one got stuck. And as I was doing that, I was starting to think more and more about an idea. And if anybody wants to comment on this and tell me what they think, then please do so. Because after I put together this old, hang on a second. Security's so good I can't get in to the tent. After I put together this old junky mower the other day, and you saw me using it for that tall stuff. It must have been 8-10 foot tall, knocking it down. And I got to thinking, I should have modified this deck to real bush hog style. I should have cut up to about like within an inch here and leave a little bit for structure. Don't come all the way. I don't think I should come all the way there. But I'm thinking I should have came all the way up there and really exposed them blades. Because in the case, this scenario that I had today, I could have gone in there and knocked down those cypress knees and made that all mowable. Now, I might have been taking myself out of work, and the guy might be then, oh, I can mow it now. But I doubt it. You know, you'd only be knocking it down, so much. He's got just a residential mower, so I don't think that he would take up the charge, even if I had trimmed them down to where I can do. Because what it was, what it was is he hadn't been mowing it for a long time, so there was probably 30 feet from the edge of the water back. And probably 200 to 300 foot long stretch. And down in there in the cypress knees and everything. Hang on. And so it's down in the cypress knees. And if you haven't ever done it, that's why the long sleeve. A lot of that vegetation has toxins in it, and it'll feel like no-see-ums or it'll feel like a million little tiny things stinging you, but it's really just the toxins off of the plants when you're string trimming them. The Centurion plant also does the same thing. I heard of a guy having to go to the hospital because he thought he could cut it with a chainsaw. But anyway, yeah, that was a big area, and I'd rather get that where it's mowable by knocking down, because I've done a lot of lakefront, and what I found is if you keep just every time you go over it, if you barely skim the top of them cypress knees, they never grow any higher, But where he's let that go, now they've gotten up high enough that you can't do it. So that's why I had to do the full get up with the rubber boots and try to keep a lot of that toxic vegetation off of me. Anyway, that's a long story, but basically what I wanted to say was, on this video, the thing about it was, I told y'all that was not a good scenario in that parking, and that would happen. And I don't know how we're supposed to do it. The customer, she was kind of like, well, why is that guy parking there? Well, where is there else to park, I mean, I felt bad for her because she had a beautiful truck and it was damaged where the bumper was bent and tail light was cracked and everything. It was a newer Chevy, so it had that little step at the corner of the bumper. And you could tell that she kept her car just pristine, so it had to really, been a bad thing for her. I felt sorry for her, but it just goes to show, when you first get in your car, because she sat in the car for a minute before she was talking. When you first get in your car is when you have the best situational awareness. The longer you're in the car and the more other things you do before you start driving, the worse you're going to be as far as you're aware of your situation. And it applies to a lot of stuff, to mowing and everything. When you first go onto a piece of equipment, as you approach it, you're registering a bunch of stuff in your subconscious that's around it, because you know that your next act is going to be to operate the machinery. So when you first get in it, if you get interrupted by phone or conversation or whatever before you actually start to maneuver the piece of equipment, then there's a higher probability of accidents. Because you've lost your awareness of the whole situation around it, because now you're within the machine or car, and you're not as able to evaluate the situation. All right, that's it for today. I know that was a lot of talking, so I'll let y'all have a good one. Bye.